This story takes place 2 years ago, when I was 16 years old. For a little context, I'm a female. It was late at night, and I was just leaving my friend's house. We had been playing video games for the past few hours, and I was ready to get home and get into bed. As I was driving, my gas gauge lit up, indicating that I was almost out of gas. I sighed and then pulled into the nearest gas station. It was in a sketchy part of town, and I felt a little uneasy as I got out of my car and walked into the building to pay. I didn't have a credit card, so I needed to go inside and pay with cash. When I walked through the doors, the place was deserted except for a man standing by the coolers where they kept the drinks. I could feel his eyes on me as I walked up to the counter to pay. I paid for my gas and walked out of the building, but the man was no longer there. I pumped the gas, making sure to look around in the darkness, keeping an eye out for any more potential creeps. When I was finished, I got back in my car and headed back towards home. I lived out away from town, not quite in the country, but not the suburbs either, so the route I was taking had me on a lonely, dark road. I was making my way down this road when I noticed a car's headlights approaching me from behind. I sped up a little bit, trying to put some space between my car and the stranger's. The car behind me just sped up some more, getting even closer. Go around, I said to myself, getting creeped out, but also annoyed that this guy was tailgating me. The car behind me honked a few times and flashed their lights on and off. I was truly afraid now. What the hell did this person want? Then it hit me. It must be the creepy guy that was staring at me in the gas station. He probably got in his car and waited for me to come out so he could follow me. My stomach sank as I came to this realization. I continued driving down this lonely, deserted road, and the creep behind me continued to tailgate me, flashing his lights on and off repeatedly. After about 10 minutes of this, I finally pulled out my phone and called the cops, something I probably should have done a while back. I told them where I was and my home address because I was going to be there in just a couple minutes. The dispatcher said they would have an officer meet me at my house. I stayed on the phone with the woman as the car behind me followed me home. When I pulled onto my street, I noticed a cop car waiting outside of my house. I pulled into my driveway, and the car behind me stopped just behind my driveway, right in front of the cop. I got out and screamed for help, running towards the cop car. The officer got out of his car, but instead of going over to the car that was following me, he pulled out his gun and pointed it right in my direction. I heard a loud pop as the officer fired his gun. I stood there, bracing myself for the excruciating pain of a bullet, but no pain came. Instead, I heard someone howling in agony behind me. I turned around and saw a man laying in the grass a few feet behind me, a knife in his hand. My parents came out of the front door as the man who had been in the car following me came out with his hands up. More police officers and an ambulance were called to my house as I stood there with my parents, crying into my dad's shoulder. We found out later from one of the officers that the man who had been following me said he had been at the gas station, ready to leave when he noticed a strange-looking man sneak into the backseat of my car. He said he had watched me get into the car, seemingly unaware of the stranger who was now right behind me. He had been following me, trying to get my attention and possibly get me to pull over. When I got home, the cops saw the man get out behind me and start running after me, knife in hand. I feel lucky to be alive today, and am forever grateful to the driver and police officer who saved my life.